last just formal talk here is from Richard Heath. Richard is the Chief Executive Officer of Zero Net Emissions Agriculture Cooperative Research Center. He leads their efforts to accelerate innovation and adoption of low emissions technologies in Australian agriculture. With a background in policy research and on-farm practice, Richard brings a systems level perspectives on how coordinated investment from both public and private sectors can drive scalable long-term methane mitigation across the livestock industry. Please help me welcome Richard Heath. Down goes forward.
Thank you, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today and talk a little bit about this new CRC. This session is about public-private partnerships. This is a particular model of public-private partnerships that we have in Australia, the Cooperative Research Centre model. So I'm going to spend most of my time just talking about the model itself, because it is quite interesting. I think it's a little bit different to the other models that you've heard today. And I think what it really provides is a way of catalysing and facilitating systems improvements in agriculture, which I think is really critical for getting the results that we need for reducing emissions. There's a bit of a mission statement there about what we're trying to do, and it is fundamentally reducing emissions really critically in a thriving Australian agriculture sector. We will not have impact unless the technologies that we're investing in also increase profitability, productivity, continue to make sure that the sector is thriving, is moving forward financially sustainably, as well as environmentally sustainably. That's just a one-page view of everything that we're going to be investing in, and you can see that we're covering off on so many of the things that have been talked about at this summit over the last couple of days. We are a systems-based approach. We do not believe there will ever be a silver bullet. It will take many, many technologies implemented in every farm business to successfully reduce emissions. One of the really critical bits that we are going to be funding at the very bottom of that slide in the probably a bit low for you to see, but in the adoption and commercialisation area, we'll fund a network of 25 demonstration farms across Australia. We are investing more at the commercialisation end of the R&D spectrum, and our intent is to validate commercial scale-up of technologies and do that in a way that shows the technology stacking aspect of that. So putting together improved genetics in herds, improved pastures, feed supplements, all of those things, how they go together to reduce emissions, and collecting data from all of that to also inform the development of methodologies for carbon crediting schemes, and everything that we need to show how it actually works to validate those systems improvements. So how do you do that in a public-private model? So getting onto the model a little bit now. So we have a bunch of partners that I'll get into in a minute. Partners invest in the CRC in different tier levels. You can see there, some of them are quite significant per year in terms of cash contributions, down to our lowest tier, which is mostly in-kind contributions. The top two, so we operate as an independent company. The top two tier levels can actually become members of that company and hold an interest in any commercial outcomes that we might have over time. When we formed with 76 partners, and that's right across the Australian agricultural landscape, from major agricultural and agri-food enterprises through small and medium enterprises, ag tech organisations, grower and producer groups, supermarkets, banks. We've got Rabobank there again, you'd see, state and Northern Territory governments, and of course universities acting as the research providers mostly in this space. Those partners, between them, when we were established, had committed $89 million in cash to the CRC, and then a whole bunch of in-kind as well. The federal government matched that pretty much dollar for dollar, and so we've got a $300 million program to invest in over the 10-year lifespan of the organisation. It is 10 years, which is a great runway, but that's it then. The Commonwealth Agreement lasts for 10 years. At the end of that, it finishes. There's no more funding coming from the Australian government. So our responsibility then is to look at, well, what happens to the organisation post that? You know, how do we set ourselves up to continue as an operating organisation after that 10-year runway of Commonwealth funding runs out? Out of those partnerships, out of that groups, all those groups, there's 56 industry groups and organisations, 11 universities, all the state and territory governments in Australia. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about, and I'll go through each tier level really quickly, but why those partners invest in the CRC. Because anyone that's thinking about getting into a model like this, it's great, but it's difficult at the same time. So my title's CEO, I often think it should be CCH, Chief Cat Herder, because there is just so many different perspectives on what a return on investment is from our investors. They all absolutely believe in the mission, and that's fundamentally why they are investing, and they do genuinely believe in the mission and want to contribute to that. But those short-term tangible returns on investment, there's very, very different pressures that are there. So when you look at our Tier 1 members, and these are our industry supply chain partners that are investing at the Tier 1 level, so significant amounts of cash that are coming in, these partners are looking for commercial returns on products that they're investing in, commercial returns for their businesses. They've got a very tangible financial ROI metric that they're trying to get out of this. If we go next to our state government Tier 1 members, so we've got the Government of Victoria, Queensland, and then also the Australian Government Department of Agriculture. Government funding in Australia is declining rapidly, has been for some time. It used to be the way that all our extension services were delivered through state governments in particular. That's been cut almost on a yearly basis. They're desperate for funding to guarantee jobs. So I should have, back on the previous slide, I mean, everyone here has got that is investing in the CRC has got their eye on that $89 million of Commonwealth funding. They're looking to leverage that, essentially, because that is unattached. So state governments are investing because they want to get some of that Commonwealth funding to replace the funding that they're losing at the state level so they can guarantee jobs and keep people employed. Universities, and we've got 6 universities or 5 universities at Tier 1 level. When they get Commonwealth funding and project funding, essentially, projects invested in by the CRC, they can leverage that into other Commonwealth block grants. So we've got this system in Australia where particular project funding qualifies to then leverage further Commonwealth funding, and that's one of their main ways that they keep viable, that they keep the research funding coming into their programs. So same mission, very different expectations on what the return on investment is. Same with Tier 2. I'll just run through these really quickly, just again to demonstrate the extent of the partner network that we have. We've got supermarkets, we've got global agribusinesses like Cooperative, and then state governments again. Tier 3, same sorts of things, so SMEs, banks, Ruminate who are here, I know, cattle companies, bunch of universities as well. And then I'll just finish on this one though, because our Tier 4 partners who are only contributing in kind, mostly, a little bit of cash with some of them, they're actually probably the most critically important group of investors that we have in the CRC in terms of that farming systems approach. Because generally, these are the farmer groups. These are the farming systems, the people that are on the ground implementing the technologies that we are investing in that provide a pathway to adoption. And that's why you have the Tier 1 companies investing so much, because they see that pathway. They see that immediate connection. Every single project that we're going to be investing in has a requirement that we have industry participants involved, either directly or on steering committee groups or some way in the governance of the projects that provides that pull factor to have the investable outputs, immediately there and pulled through from industry. Without these group of people, investors, even though they're only putting in-kind in, there is no way that the CRC would have that channel for adoption and would not be as successful as we believe that it's going to be. So getting the right people in the room in a public-private partnership, even though they have those, and that's the sort of key, to understand, to be upfront, to be eyes wide open about what the different expectations on return on investment are. Because if you can marry up that desire for a new product, a new technology that's going to keep a farming system profitable with a state government that's delivering services and extension that's keeping jobs going, with a university that's leveraging that money to remain viable and get further grants from the government, with a multinational organisation that is going to make a commercial return out of a product that goes all the way through that. You've got everyone in the tent. You've got everyone getting what they need out of that partnership, but at the end of the day, and most critically, you've got an adoptable technology improvement and a systems improvement that will make a difference when it comes to our ultimate mission, which is to reduce emissions. So a bit of a different model there. If you're not aware of them before, we're open for business. We're looking for new partnerships. We're looking for new opportunities. What I've talked about was our starting position with our Commonwealth Agreement. We think we'll grow. We know we'll grow over the life of the CRC. So looking forward to any conversations or opportunities that might be out there. Thank you.